Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will show you a 55 watts carbon dioxide laser cutter from Atomstack called Atomstack Hurricane. Let's see what's inside the Atomstack Hurricane. The Atomstack Hurricane is a professional 55 watts desktop carbon dioxide laser cutter with an engraving area of up to 500mm by 300mm. Its powerful engraving and cutting capabilities make it a great production tool for woodworking, acrylic crafts, and other customized crafts. Well, let's explore how this Atomstack Hurricane performs. I did an engraving speed test to get a quick idea of the engraving speed and cutting efficiency of this Atomstack Hurricane. I divided the laser energy from 5% to 100% into 20 groups, and the engraving speed from 60mm per second to 600mm per second into 10 groups. The test result was satisfactory. The 55 watts laser power has very high efficiency in engraving materials. As you can see, with only 5% laser power, the 3mm plywood can be engraved at a speed of 600mm per second, leaving clear engraving marks on the plywood. Regarding the cutting efficiency, the Atomstack Hurricane 55 watts laser power shows very efficient in cutting speed. Take a 3mm plywood cutting text as an example. The cutting speed can reach 75mm per second and 100% laser power. This fast cutting speed allows users to complete large cutting tasks in a few minutes. In the text of cutting 20mm plywood, when I set 100% laser power and 5mm per second cutting speed, I could not cut 20mm plywood in one go, but when I reduced the cutting speed to 2mm per second, the Hurricane could easily cut 20mm plywood in one pass. So I think with such powerful cutting ability, Atomstack Hurricane can meet almost all users' cutting needs. I can cut large size wooden craft in one go. For example, I control the Hurricane to cut 3mm plywood in Library software to make a dinosaur toy. The final cut takes about 5.5 minutes to complete with 40mm per second cutting speed and 100% laser power. I'm still using Library software to control the Atomstack Hurricane to engrave images on plywood. The image engraving mode is one of the ways to test the engraving quality of laser engraver. Of course, when engraving different images engraving parameters may need to be adjusted to get the best engraving results. In the case of my engraving of the black myth Wukong photos, to get a more satisfactory engraving result, I tried several times with different photo parameters before I finally set the engraving parameters for the engraving. When I engraved the second black myth Wukong photo to achieve better engraving results, I need to readjust the parameters of the imagery. The great thing about the carbon dioxide laser cutter is that it can engrave and cut all colors of acrylic, including clear acrylic. That's why the Atomstack Hurricane desktop carbon dioxide laser cutter is perfect for those with acrylic customization needs. I use clear acrylic to customize a welcome sign for my studio. I'm very satisfied with the results. All processes are completed in 10 minutes with very high efficiency. I have confidence in Atomstack Hurricane to cut acrylic because a 55 watts carbon dioxide laser cutter can usually cut 20mm thickness of acrylic in one pass. So my only concern is whether the Atomstack Hurricane can achieve a better image engraving result on black acrylic. I used the Atomstack Hurricane to engrave the third image of black myth Wukong on black acrylic. The Liban software estimated that it would take 40 minutes to complete the engraving, but in fact, it only took 25 minutes. Atomstack Hurricane image engraving on black acrylic is still good, but the texture of the image is not fine enough, which may be related to the Hurricane is only compatible with stocky image mode. If you are a small business owner, you may need to customize some leather products for your customers. I have also tried for you using Atomstack Hurricane cut and engrave leather materials. Of course, Atomstack Hurricane is compatible with many materials. Leather is just one of them. The Atomstack Hurricane has a high-definition camera to assist in engraving or cutting positioning. I need a more complicated camera calibration process and have trouble using the Lightburn software, so I gave up using the Lightburn software to enable the camera engraving positioning feature. Instead, using the Atomstack Studio software become much easier. The calibration process is very simple, just follow the instructions in 2 steps. Firstly, place a flat piece of material larger than 300mm by 300mm and allow the Atomstack Hurricane to engrave the appropriate markings. Secondly, take a picture and let the Atomstack Hurricane analyze the positioning data. After completing the camera positioning calibration on the Atomstack Studio software, I then began testing the accuracy of the engraving positioning. First, I engraved a large rectangle and cycle on 3mm plywood and then capture it in Atomstack Studio. To verify the accuracy of Atomstack Hurricane's engraving positioning, I drew 4 small rectangles at each of the 4 corners of the large rectangle and a rectangle inside the cycle. These patterns all fit accurately with the inner edge of the large rectangle and the large cycle. Each pattern was then engraved on the plywood by setting the appropriate engraving parameters. To the eye eye, the engraving position of the Atomstack Hurricane is quite accurate, but after closer inspection, I found that the actual engraving pattern was slightly off in the y-axis direction compared to the position in the software. To find out how much the actual engraving positioning was deviating, I clicked on the camera function on the software, recaptured the engraving imagery, and then zoomed in to compare it to the pattern on the software. Using the ruler function on the software, I was able to measure the deviation in the y-axis direction, 0.8 mm. With such a small positioning error, I totally accept it. In practical engraving cases, the Atomstack Hurricane's camera engraving positioning works quite well and completely eliminates the hassle of manual engraving positioning. The Atomstack Hurricane makes 3D engraving on wood easy because its powerful 55 watts carbon dioxide laser. If you are using the Atomstack Studio software, 3D engraving becomes even easier. The Atomstack Studio software provides many patterns that can be 3D engraved directly. One of the benefits of using Atomstack Studio is that you don't have to manually text the engraving parameters, as it provides the ability to set the correct engraving parameters for different materials automatically. In this 3D engraving project, the engraving speed was 200 mm per second and the laser power was 10% laser power, which is set by Atomstack Studio automatically. The perfect 3D engraving can be completed in 12 minutes. Okay, that's it for the video. You can click on the link in the video description to learn more about the Atomstack Hurricane. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.